What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a really awesome day today, and let's just get right into this video. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a really What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a really awesome day today, and let's just get right into this video. So, today we are going to be in Proverbs chapter 9, verses 10 through 11. So, if you have a Bible, I would encourage you to read along because it helps to not just hear it, but to actually visually see it and just to follow along with me like that. But yeah, so here we go. Proverbs chapter 9, starting in verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. Now, I've heard verse 10, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard that verse a whole lot. But there's just so much in that one little verse, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about it. So first of all, we're going to talk about knowledge and wisdom. We're going to talk about the difference because just like me, some of you may think, well, what's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Aren't they the same thing? Because that's what I've always thought. I've always found it hard to understand the difference when it would talk when Scripture would talk about wisdom and knowledge and understanding and such, and I would just be so confused. I'm like, what's the difference? Aren't they all the same? In a way, they are. It's almost the same. It's almost like two sides of the same coin, basically, right? And to best explain it, for one thing, I would say, knowledge basically is just knowing something. It's just a fact, and it's just simply knowing and understanding something. While on the other hand, wisdom is applying that knowledge to something. It's more like delving deeper into it. It's applying it to something. Basically, like, for example, I have knowledge that this wall is white, right? But wisdom would be, applying it and going deeper into it and explaining this. And it'd be like a deeper understanding of colors and such and such. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. And it's the same way with. This is one thing I've actually wanted to talk about recently too. So that this is, I know for a fact God wanted me to delve into these verses, but there's a difference between knowing God, knowing there is a God, knowing God exists, knowing He died on the cross for you, and there's a difference between actually knowing God, who He is, having a personal relationship with Him, knowing what He is, who He is, and who you are, and that, you understand what I'm saying? Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of the same thing with like when you're first born, you have the knowledge to understand that this person is your mom. You have the knowledge that this person is my mom, but you may not actually know her until you start talking to her and having conversations, and she's telling you this and that about her and her life. Basically, that's the same thing. There's a difference between knowing God and really actually knowing God. And the first step of getting saved is basically having the knowledge of God. It says it right here. And the knowledge of the holy is understanding. You have to understand that. Obviously, knowledge is the beginning, right? That's the first step. And when you first get saved, that's basically the first step. That's someone explained to you about who God is, and someone explained to you that Jesus died on the cross for you, and you had that knowledge of that, and you called Him to be your Savior. You called unto Him. That's you having knowledge of Christ, right? But just because you're saved, just because you have the knowledge about God, the knowledge of God, doesn't mean you have an actual personal relationship with Him. And I think a lot of Christians nowadays miss that, especially younger Christians. Young Christians, literally young, like actual, like my generation, for instance, and actual just being a young Christian that just recently got saved. They may not understand, they may see other Christians who are further along in their Christian life, who are further along in their relationship with God, and they see them and they're like, why is there a gap? Why is there a difference? How come I see them and see so much joy in their eyes, but me, it's just, that's not the same. And that may be a way where Satan can come and attack you and make you miss God in his entirety, basically is what I'm trying to say. Because you may be saved, but just because you're saved doesn't automatically mean you're going to completely understand God, understand his word, understand what your teachers are teaching you, what your pastor is preaching to you. You may have knowledge about God, knowledge of God, but you may not understand and use the wisdom to apply that to your actual life and to grow in it. There's a huge difference. So if today you're saved, but you just feel like you're not experiencing all these things that many Christians talk about happen to them after getting saved, and you're feeling like, well, maybe I'm not saved. Maybe God doesn't really exist, and you're having all these thoughts and stuff. Understand that there is a difference, first of all, of knowing God and knowing God. And that's the same difference of knowledge and wisdom. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy is understanding. So let me use this and apply it to my own life. Okay, so I've been saved since I was 8 years old, right? But I didn't really live like I should. I didn't really care about God really until probably 2 years ago. And even though I was saved at 8 years old, I didn't grow in that fellowship with Christ. I didn't grow in that knowledge of God and earn wisdom. I didn't get that because I didn't have a personal relationship with Christ until 2 years ago. That makes me a young Christian. Even though I was saved at 8 years old, I'm still counted as a baby in Christ, really. I had the knowledge of the holy, which is understanding, but I did not have the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. I didn't hold God up. I didn't see him for who he truly is, and because that's a lack of knowledge. It's the lack of real wisdom, because I didn't delve into his word. I didn't grow closer to him. And what really made me buckle down and have the fear of the Lord within me, which is the beginning of wisdom, which has completely changed my life, and at times was beyond different. But it was so. I've used the word. I've used the sentence or used the words in saying, before I got closer to God, I lived this way. Before I really, got closer or had a real relationship with God. Even though I'm putting in quotes because I don't want to sound, oh, look at me type of thing. It's truth. I lived a different way, and my life was completely different before I really got closer to God. That got closer to God that I was putting in quotes was the fear of the Lord, was God's wisdom, his wisdom bestowing upon me. That's what that was. So when I changed or got closer to God, and then that was the beginning of wisdom. That was the beginning, was me changing, because I finally had the fear of the Lord within me. My life before I really knew Christ, before I had the fear of the Lord within me, was immensely different than my life now. I mean, literally, even though I'm the same person, there's I can't even begin to describe and explain to you the difference with my thought life. I mean, the difference is unmeasurable to anything. It is literally, it talks about in the word, and his word, it talks about the truth will set you free. It is so true. It is beyond any truth that you could even imagine. The difference about how God's truth, his wisdom, can completely change your lives. And though today you're saying, well, I'm saved, but I don't have that. Why, there's no change. I'm still the same. Because you don't fear God. You don't hold him up. You don't come before him humbly. That's the reason why there's such a difference for you and other Christians. That's why you feel such a difference. It's why you're questioning your salvation. If you're truly saved, you're questioning that salvation. Because even at times, I've questioned my salvation because I'm like, things are so different now that it's like, well, something big had to have occurred. But that even though that is true, something big definitely did occur. It wasn't me. It wasn't me not being saved that whole time. And 2 years ago, now I'm actually getting saved. It was a difference in that I finally started to gain wisdom about Christ through having the fear of the Lord. I've been saved since I was 8 years old, but I didn't have the fear of the Lord within me. I'm promising you right now that there is absolutely, God has been so good to me. When I really started to develop a real relationship with Christ, 2 years, I think it was 2 years ago. In that moment in my life, I was in the darkest moment of my entire life. Now, I've talked about certain things about my encounters with depression and anxiety, and I've kind of skimmed over that a little bit in some of my videos, but I've dealt with those things really basically my whole life. But 2 to 3, I'd probably say 2.5 years ago was when that depression, that anxiety, the fear, all of that was really pressing hard on me, was really cutting me down. So bad that I was my mindset back then, my heart was completely turned upside down. I was completely going in a different direction. I mean, it was just like, I'm the same person, but my life without Christ, even though I was saved, I was still didn't have a relationship with him. My life without that relationship with him was hell. It was I was living in hell every day. I had no life without him. I mean, absolutely. And some of you may feel like that today. And I'm telling you, do not run away from your feelings. Listen to what you're feeling, because they could be telling you something. Because in those times, I mean, I was just low. I mean, my whole life, really, I've been really feeling low. And it all changed when I really began to try to grow my relationship with God. Like, really. And I can't even describe how different. This video may be long, and I didn't intend for it to be long, but there's just certain things that I gotta talk about that please don't stop watching the video. I have dealt with a lot of things in my life, and I'm not saying that for pity or anything. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to explain some things here. I have dealt with a lot of things, whether it was actually things going on out in front of me that were bad, or whether it was just a whole lot of things going up here and in here that were bad. And a lot of times there was just a huge combination of both of that. And about 2.5 years ago, there was that combination of all of that was just breaking me. And the only thing that saved me from that was God. the only thing. I can't. Please know that. Please understand that God is the only thing that can save you. The only thing. There's nothing. I'm telling you, in those times, I was smoking marijuana. I was selling drugs. I drank alcohol a couple of times. I was doing a lot of things. And none of those things saved me. And I wanted it to rescue me. And I tried to tell myself that it was going to save me. I tried to tell me that the drugs and the lifestyle I was living, I tried to tell myself this will save me. This eventually will break my depression, will break my fears. And I kept constantly telling myself that eventually things would change. And in the back of my head, I'm like, this isn't going to solve it. But at this point, I don't care anymore because this is all I have now. And that's what happens. That's what happens once you start going down that road. It is a hill that you're just sliding down. You cannot. There is not a drug down that hill that's gonna shoot you back up. There's not a drug or a drink or a girl or a woman or anything that'll suddenly shoot you back up to the top of where you started. You will, if you keep going down that path, that's all you're gonna do. You're just gonna fall. You're just going to constantly go deeper and darker, and you're going to constantly slide down that hill. I promise you that. So it's almost like not only was I delving deeper into my depression and in my anxiety, hoping that something would change, hoping that the drugs or something would hop me back up and free me. It was literally making it worse. I mean, it was literally now. Not only was there so many issues going on here and here, but now there's all these problems that's going on actually out in front of me as a result of my own sin, as a result of my own actions and my own words. So it was just, I'm just falling deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and I just can't seem to get out. I mean, literally, when I think about it, when I think about those times, and I think about my past, I mean, I literally cannot think of anyone or anything that could have rescued me even a little bit. Not my closest friend, not my closest family member, nothing. When you fall like that and you allow Satan to take you down there, nothing will save you but God. I promise you, nothing. When I think about me back then, and I think about where I am now, I don't know how I'm still alive. Whether something or someone would have taken me out, or if I would have taken my own self out, I don't know how I am still here. There's no reason. There is no why. There is no thing, a person, anything. It is only by the grace of God that I am still alive. My life now is, I used to wish for death. There is times where I have, and I'm being completely honest here, there is times when I have literally prayed out to God, screaming out to God, begging Him to kill me. Literally saying, God, please just end me now. Just let this pain end. Please, why are you letting me suffer like this? I've literally screamed out those things in the past, screaming, God, please kill me. And now my prayers out to God are, God, please help me to live this life to the fullest, according to your will. And you're saying, how did I get from wanting to die to wanting to live a greater, more enriched life? You're saying, how did you get from point A to point B? Two immensely different things. Completely opposites, completely different lifestyles, completely different thoughts, completely different surroundings, completely different everything. Literally things you wouldn't even think would be different are different. And you're thinking, how? How did you get from here from there? How do I do that? First of all, just like I talked in one of my videos, stop focusing on the island, the destination that you so desperately want to get to, but you just don't know how to get there. It's about the journey. It's about being in that boat And you're saying, where do I go? What do I do? I don't even know. I don't know where to start. This is not a game. Your life is not a game. The only thing that's going to save you is God. What changed for me, first of all, it wouldn't have changed without God. First of all, it was all by the grace of God. But if you're asking, well, what do I do? Why hasn't God saved me yet? First of all, there's free will. And what I did differently, I started to actually trying to stop sinning like I was. You're saying, what's sin? Sin is anything that you think, do, or say, or anything that goes against God. So you're saying, what's the first step? What do I do? How do I first begin to grow closer to Christ? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Fear God. Fearing God. Understand that He sees and hears everything you do. He knows all about it, and He's right there with you. And realize that He is high above you. Come before Him humbly. Come to Him. It's not as complicated as we make it. And the reason why it feels and we think it's so complicated is because that's Satan's influence on our brains, and that's our sin nature, that's our flesh that's holding us back. It is so easy. It is literally as easy as taking one step. Just like I said in that video about the island and destination, and I was using that analogy, I was using that metaphor, just like I said that it's not going to be you teleporting instantly. Every day is one step. Sanctification is the process of becoming holy. Now, we are not holy. The only ounce of holiness that is in us is the Holy Spirit that's in us. But every day, you have to have the mindset of, how do I get closer to Christ? That is your life. That should be your main goal, is growing closer with Christ and growing closer to others. You begin that by taking one step. It's one day at a time. It's one step at a time. There was one night where I was closer to I hate to say it, but there was one night where I was closer to committing suicide than any other night. That night, the very lowest I was is now the greatest day that in my entire life was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. By the grace of God, I am here today because of that day, because of where I was. That day, I was such in a low moment, and God led me to listen to a sermon. Listening to His word was the first step. I came to Him. Even though my thoughts was like, I hate you. I don't want to be anywhere near you, God. I don't want to hear from you. But by His grace, I somehow obeyed Him. And I opened my phone up, and all I did was literally just look up. I looked up preaching on depression. Preachers preaching on depression. And I just clicked on, I clicked on a random video. That was that first step of obeying. Was coming to God, listening to His word, coming to Him. And whatever form that may take, listening to good Christian music, listening to sermons, preaching, because it's preaching on His word, reading the Bible, all those things. And that day I began to try to do all of that. I tried to stop listening to the music I was listening to. I started to listen to actual Christian music that talks about God and talks about being a Christian. Even though at first it may not seem appealing, it may not feel good at first, it may be completely different to what you're used to, but that's what you need. Don't you understand? That's what you need. It all applies. Everything. It all applies. It all is a balance. It all holds equally importance. The music, the drugs, if you're doing drugs, the lust and the pornography that's probably in your life, all of it correlates with your thoughts. It all correlates with your heart. and the way you're thinking and the way you're living, it all circulates, it all correlates. It's one step at a time. One step at a time, following Christ, one step at a time, obeying God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning. That was my beginning. Was that night when I listened to that sermon. I think it was either that night or the next day. I vowed within myself. I vowed every day I'm gonna try to listen to at least one sermon, to at least listen to one preaching video. That was literally in my thought process. I was like, okay, this is the only thing that's gonna save me. Right now, today, I gotta spend at least 40 minutes watching one sermon. That was the first step. That was me fearing the Lord, understanding I'm a sinner, trying to stay away from sin as I possibly can. Stay away from anything that completely goes against edifying me, bringing me up, bringing Christ up. Anything that's going against that, I'm trying to stay away from that. That's the fear of the Lord. That's the beginning of wisdom. That's the beginning of you having a meaningful relationship with Christ. If today you're dealing with some type of addiction, let's say today, it could be anything. It could literally be anything. I'm telling you, you could be dealing with things that you thought you could never break from. Right here, the only thing, I promise you, I don't care what you're thinking, I don't care what you say, the only thing that'll save you is God. And I don't mean to sound patronizing or to sound hateful in any way. I am completely making this video out of love because I'm promising you, I have tried it all, I have seen it all, I have felt it all, I have been at the lowest points that you could ever imagine, and I have been at the highest points you could ever imagine. Because of God. Not because of any drug. No drug took me there. It only dug my hole deeper. It only dug my grave deeper. God was the only thing that saved me, rescued me, and changed me. And every day, He is constantly changing me. Thoughts, cycles of thoughts that I thought I could never break from. Depression that I never thought I could be free from. Fears and anxieties I never thought I could escape. God has not only helped me, rescued me, defeated my demons for me, defeated my problems for me, but continues every day to break those chains off of me. Every day to break those chains off of me and to guide me in the right direction and to put me in my place and to help me and to save me with all of His love and with all of His wisdom. One step at a time, one day at a time. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. Everything you desire, that hole that you're in and you want to be free from so badly, you're running from literally the only thing that is going to save you. Literally the only thing. And the reason why you feel like He can't save you, He can't possibly change you, is because you're lacking wisdom. You're lacking the fear of God. If you're wanting to change today, if you're wanting to be a better Christian, if you're wanting to have a greater relationship with Christ, first begin with saying and trying your very best. And I promise you, it's not as hard as you think. Remember, that's Satan's lies. The first step is by saying, today, right now, in this moment, I choose God. I choose Christ over sin. I choose God over the devil. I choose Christ over mammon. I choose Christ over this world. It's not as hard as you think. It's one step. Nobody, I don't care how old, nobody is completely right where they want to be yet. You focus on you today, right now. Not the bigger picture. Stop overwhelming yourself and thinking of the huge picture and saying, how do I get here from there? One step at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Just start. You can't get anywhere if you don't start. It's as simple as just doing it. How do you do it? By doing it. It's literally as simple as that. The only reason why it's hard is because you're a sinner. Because Satan holds you back. And he has strongholds on you that are holding you back. It could be pornography. It could be pride. It could be the love of money. It could be drugs, alcohol. Which, remember, all those things correlate. All those things have effects on you. Those are strongholds that Satan has on you. Recognize that. Understand what that means. Have the knowledge of that. And apply God's wisdom to all of that. And I promise you, your whole life will change. I hope this video makes sense. And it may not all make sense to you right now. But that's probably not God's will. It's probably not God's will for you to completely understand all of it in all of its entirety right now. Because what would be the point? What would be your life if all of a sudden you had all the answers to all your problems and all of a sudden you were freed from all of your struggles, all of your pain, all of your fears instantaneously? You would have no reason to live. You will not reach that point until you die, until you go to heaven, if you're saved. You can't get to heaven without getting saved. You can't have any of these things I'm talking about without first accepting you're a sinner, without first calling unto God and saying, God, I'm a sinner. Please save me. I want to have a relationship with you. Please rescue me. I recognize that you died on the cross for my sins. You died so that I could live a better life, so that I could have a relationship with you. He died for those reasons. Don't let his death be meaningless. Obviously it's not. But I'm saying you on a personal level, say to yourself, I'm not going to let Jesus Christ's death on the cross be meaningless for me and for my life. I'm not going to let his death be nothing to me. It's going to be something. He's going to be something, because I'm going to begin to fear him. I'm going to begin to hold him up, reverence and honor him, and I'm going to come before him humbly with all my fears, with all my pain, with all my sin. No matter how dark, no matter how low you are, come to him with every bit of ounce of it. All of it. Come to him right then, right now. Come to him with all of it and give your life to him. You'll never be the same. Your life will never look the same. Your thoughts will never be the same. Your heart will never be the same. Your friends, your family, none of that will ever look the same. It'll be completely different, all for the better. I hope this video is helpful. And I hope that at least it makes sense a little bit. And I pray that God would deliver his wisdom to you in his timing and in his will. And I hope you guys would try to have a relationship with Christ. Because I know pretty much we all deal with issues. So, I mean, Christ is not subjective. It can't just be, oh, Christ works for you, but not for me. No. Christ works for everyone. Because we're all sinners. We all sin. We all struggle with pain. And the reason why we struggle with pain is because we're a sinner. I'm not saying that your sin is the cause of your problems. I'm saying because you are naturally evil, you're naturally a sinner, death, pain, heartache, fear, all come along with that sin. That's why Christ died for you. That's why Christ is calling you. Because he knows he's the only one that can save you. He's the only one that's holy and doesn't have that evil, doesn't have that burden. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. Call upon him today, whether you're saved or not. You may be saved, you may have that salvation, you may have the Holy Spirit, but you still need saving. Call upon him. I need saving. I'm calling upon him right now. I'm no different than any of you. I'm still struggling with things. Because I'm a sinner. No, that. But that's why we have Christ. That's why we have each other. That's why I'm making these videos, because I love you guys, because I want to help you and to give you some wisdom that God has given me, not from me, but just it's all God's wisdom, His knowledge that He's given me through His Word that I want to share with you to help you so that you can grow in your life. And I hope this video wasn't too long. I hope it's not the longest video I've made. I don't know. I hope you stayed this long, and I'm going to end the video now before I keep going on and on. And honestly, the life that I'm now living, the difference in my life, how great God, and my testimony, I could literally talk on and on for all eternity, and it would never scratch the surface. It would never even scratch the surface of who God truly is, how amazing He truly is, and the amazing, wonderful things He can do for you. It would never even scratch the surface. I can go on and on. I can make 3 days worth non-stop videos, and it would not even scratch the surface. Wouldn't even come close. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave an encouraging comment. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.